Shalom WJC family. Time for our weekly Torah Talk. This week in synagogue, we will be reading Parshat VaYetze, the story of Jacob. He's fleeing from his home, the tent of his parents, Rivka and Yitzchak, Rebekah and Isaac. Rebekah had put Jacob up to a trick to get Isaac's blessing instead of Esau, the older brother, who it seems Isaac wanted to give the blessing to Esau, and that's what tradition would have said. Esau is now enraged and has threatened Jacob's life, so he runs off towards Haran, towards the place where Rebekah is from, to seek shelter there, I guess, until Esau has time to cool off. So he's on his way, and he gets to the border of the land of Canaan, of the promised land, and sleep comes over him. He goes to sleep. There's a midrash says the sun sets early, so he's wondering what's going on. And in his sleep, he famously dreams of a ladder with angels going down and coming up, and that's usually what we hear about this dream is about this ladder. But what we often leave out is the very important part, that God actually speaks to him. It's a moment of prophecy, and he says, Ani Adonai Elohei Avraham Avicha, Elohei Yitzchak. I'm the God of your father Abraham and the God of Isaac. Haaretz asher ata shochev alecha, the place where you're sleeping upon it. Lecha etnena uzorecha. I'm going to give it to you and your offspring. And your descendants will be like the dust of the earth, and you'll spread out to the west and the east, the north and the south. All of the families of the earth shall bless themselves by you and your descendants. Remember, I am with you. I will protect you wherever you go, and will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised. So that's what God says. Very Abrahamic kind of if those of you who remember the Abraham stories, this idea that they're going to have a covenant, that God's going to be with Jacob no matter what, that the land will be his and the descendants of which he will have many, it will be theirs as well. Jacob wakes up and he says something very interesting. He says, Achen! Whoa! Yesh Adonai b'makom hazeh. V'anochi lo yadati. God is present in this place, and I didn't know it. And what do you mean you didn't know it? How could Jacob not be aware he's in a place where God is? Or, as we learn, if God is everywhere, of course God is there. So the question is, what's going on here? And the commentator Or HaChaim, very interesting commentator from the early 1700s in Morocco. Those who will be traveling to Morocco soon, maybe we'll hear a lot more about Chaim ibn Attar, the Or HaChaim. He's a Kabbalist, and he sort of does a commentary on the Torah from that Kabbalistic point of view there in Morocco. And he asks the same question. What does Jacob mean by Achen? Whoa! Why is he so shocked by all this? It seems like something that was concealed from him has been revealed. And he goes on to give this commentary that says, Jacob was just not aware. Maybe he was so caught up in the goings-on of his life. It would be understandable. He's been through a very stressful thing. That here he was in this, place that's going to be called Bethel, and where a shrine would be for a long time, and it would be known as a holy place for generations, and he didn't know, he couldn't sense God's presence. And what Or HaChaim says, that if he knew, so let me take a step back. Rashi says, what did he mean that he didn't know? So what? What would he have done differently if he knew he was in a place where God was present? He says he wouldn't have slept there. So Or HaChaim says, what do you mean he wouldn't have slept there? Of course he would have stayed there. If it's a place where God is, what would he have done? Gone away? No, that's not what Rashi means, says Or HaChaim. What Rashi means is he would have stayed there, but he would have stayed awake. In other words, God is coming to Jacob in a dream, But if he had stayed awake, maybe God would have come to Jacob while he was awake. He could have had a moment of direct prophecy instead of prophecy in a dream. But because he wasn't mindful, because he wasn't aware of his surroundings, he went to sleep there. God still visited, but now it was only in a dream. And this achein, this woe, is a woe of disappointment. If only I'd known God was here. I would have stayed awake and I would have had this opportunity to talk to God face to face, so to speak. It's an important lesson for us as well. There's so much going on in the world, in our lives. We're bombarded by so much information all the time. I was talking to someone this morning and, my watch buzzed and I looked at it and I couldn't remember what I was talking about when I looked back up. My mind was gone. So many things are vying for our attention, are distracting us, not to mention the state of the world, the situation for Jews here and for Jews in Israel and for Jews all around the world. So much on our minds, our family situations, our community situations. It is so easy to forget that God is here all around us. But when we do, the Or HaChaim is telling us we lose something. And if we can bring our awareness to that spiritual place, I'm not saying you're going to have a direct revelation like Abraham or Moses. I'm not even saying if you meditate and fall asleep, you'll have a dream that's a revelation from God. But maybe you'll have a revelation from your own spirit. Maybe you'll have a revelation about how our life means more than whatever is going on in this moment. Maybe we'll have a revelation of our tafkid, our task to make the world better in a moment like this, exactly what our role is. What's amazing is here, at least the Or HaChaim, in the early 1700s, and maybe Rashi, if Or HaChaim is interpreting him correctly, in the 1000s, they are talking about a more mindful approach to life. I know we think we live in a time where we're so clever and we invented these things, but mindfulness, this awareness of a spiritual presence around us, of God's presence everywhere around us, is an idea that has been baked into Judaism from the very beginning, and it is getting harder and harder to hold on to it in this world that bombards us with distractions. And so here is a reminder that the ladder before Jacob, that ladder we can climb to a more spiritual place, it's before us always, but we are in that place like Jacob was. God is here and we do not know it. Perhaps a little more mindfulness, a little more participating in mitzvot, a little bit more coming together for Shabbat, for prayer, for doing good works together. And maybe we'll be a little more aware of God's presence, and maybe we'll be able to spread that message, and other people will be more aware as well. May it all come soon, and wish you a Shabbat Shalom.